Hello, and welcome to Ben and Matt Watch Game of Thrones.
Brought to you by sci-fi christianpodcast.com. Today we're going to be looking at episode 6 of Game of Thrones, A Golden Crown.
A Golden Crown, a great title.
If you slam that staff on my foot, I will give you a golden crown. How about that?
Golden Crown, the way you just said that actually sounds like a really dirty phrase.
It does.
Now that, we know what it means.
But in the context of the episode,
yeah, if you've seen the
it's
episode,
actually a really violent threat.
It is. Wow. But let's not get ahead of ourselves.
No, but that was a pretty cool scene.
Should we just start at the end?
No.
Okay.
No, we got to earn it.
Well, okay, good. So...
Where do you want to start?
King's Landing seems right.
Okay, well, let's share where we had the action this week. We had the Eyrie,
yes,
again with Tyrion and Catelyn, and good old Lysa, who's always good for a laugh.
She's a little less crazy this week.
A little, yeah. But that's only because it would have been very difficult to be more crazy than last week. We also had a couple scenes in Winterfell and around there. Vase Dothrock with
that
Dany.
Is the Horse City.
The Horse City, you are correct.
Okay.
And then King's Landing. So, if we start at King's Landing, we have to end at Vase Dothrock.
Alright, that sounds good.
Because those are kind of the two big ones.
What the heck? Again? No scenes at the wall? Where's Jon Snow?
I know, 2 weeks in a row, but he will be back next week.
Okay, good.
So, something to look forward to. I actually have already watched next week's episode.
I'm going to watch it soon, too. So, you had mentioned on the Sci-Fi Christian podcast that the HBO is releasing the next episode early online.
Yeah, it's just online. We will have our review of it out tomorrow.
Oh my gosh.
After Matt watches that.
Yeah.
But it will be broadcast normally next week. But if you do have access to HBOGo.com, you can see next week's episode 7, online.
Or if you don't mind spoilers, you can watch our review right away.
Well, not right away, because it's not out yet,
yeah.
if you're watching this when this was first posted.
Good.
But
all right,
it's posted.
Let's do it. Let's do
King's Landing.
King's Landing, then Winterfell, then the Eyrie, and then, is that how you say it? Eyrie?
Eyrie.
The Eyrie.
Which, by the way, we made a mistake on the name last week.
Why, what did I say?
We had said, well, you had asked me, and I confirmed wrongly, that the Eyrie is a reference to House Aaron, whereas Eyrie is not a reference to House Aaron. It's just it's like a word that means a high bird's nest or something like that. People corrected us in the comments, so thank you for that.
Thank you, people.
We don't like giving out misinformation.
Not usually.
But we do sometimes.
King's Landing.
Yeah.
Lots of action there.
Yeah, we start with a scene of Ned waking up after last week's sword fight with Jaime, and in his bedchamber is Robert and Cersei. Last we saw, Robert was very angry at Ned.
Yelling, traitor!
Traitor.
And he's talking about maybe killing him.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, Cersei, her and Ned also had a confrontation the last time they were together.
They did, so we weren't quite sure what to expect in this scene, but it turns out Robert has had a slight change of heart regarding Ned.
Yeah, and it seems like now at this point everybody's in the know that Tyrion has been kidnapped by Ned's wife.
Right.
Whose name is?
Catelyn.
Catelyn.
Yeah. So Robert tells Ned, you have to get Catelyn to release Tyrion, make your peace with Jaime, you're going to stay on as my hand, or else I will make Jaime my hand.
Now, when he first said that, I thought this is a great threat, because it's one of the only things I think could convince Ned to change his mind, because
Ned will never resign now.
He would never want Jaime to be in that position of power.
Yeah, so we get this kind of interesting scene there. We also see some more tension between Cersei and Robert, whereas last week they had kind of a good scene together.
Sort of a loving moment?
Not so much this week. He slaps her and yells at her, and everything we saw last week completely gone.
You know what was interesting about that scene? That it seemed like when she left the room, that he actually had some remorse for hitting her. He said, I shouldn't have done that.
Yes.
What's your take on that, since you've read the books? Does he have some remorse? Is there a heart inside that huge king's chest?
Absolutely. I think that what's fascinating about Robert's character is that he is a great warrior, and when he is out there battling and conquering and he has something to fight for, he becomes a great man. Where he is at in his life right now is he has conquered, and he's conquered for like 15 years at this point. He has nothing to do. He has no purpose. He feels directionless, and because of that, he loses self-control, and you see that with the drinking, you see that with him hitting Cersei.
Womanizing.
Exactly. The entire way he goes about his rule, with just spending money and being wasteful. He doesn't know what to do with himself.
Interesting.
He knows it's not good, but he doesn't know how to stop himself.
Okay.
So we get this scene with Ned and Robert and Cersei, and then our next scene in King's Landing is another scene of Syrio Forel.
Yes.
Reigning Arya.
You know, that is good, but I think we skipped a little bit ahead of the scene
Did
with King Robert and Ned.
Okay.
So after Cersei leaves, they have a great moment, and I actually wrote down the quote. Robert was admitted that he has never really loved his own biological brothers.
Yeah.
But he said to Ned, "You were the brother I chose."
Right.
I thought, I mean, that's a warm... I don't know what you say. Warm relation.
fuzzy.
Yeah, warm fuzzy.
They had a warm
that was
fuzzy
nice.
moment.
And then
much nicer than the moment Robert had with his real brother Renly later on in the episode.
oh yes. And actually, I was just going to mention that because then he said a funny thing. He decides to go hunting because he says, "Killing things clears my head."
Yes.
And that's funny. There was a ton of good things.
Well, that goes back to what I was just saying about Robert's character, is that when he's conquering, he's fighting, that's when he comes alive. When he is trying to rule and be bureaucratic, it doesn't work for him.
So warm fuzzy.
Yep.
So we move on to
Syrio?
the sword fighter guy.
So what did you think of him? You were not too impressed last time you saw Syrio.
It wasn't that I wasn't impressed. It was just such a small scene. I didn't have a chance to really develop any feelings for him.
Well. Huh.
So, I mean, yeah, he seems like a fine character. I mean, I still, even last night's scene was small again, and he's helping
Arya.
Arya. He's helping Arya learn how to sword fight, and he seems like a good teacher, so I can give him that. But, I mean, what did you get from it?
It's just he's a great character. He's charismatic. He's interesting. He's obviously very smart in the way he's going about it. He's the one person who is really able to engage Arya, where everyone else in her life doesn't really seem to get her, doesn't seem to understand her. He gets her, he understands her, and he's able to meet her exactly where he's at. And also help her work through some hard stuff where she's really depressed at the beginning of their session.
Yeah, because she didn't even want to sword fight, which is unusual for her.
Yeah. And he's able to help her through that. And to me, that's what's so great about Syrio's character. He's not only a great teacher, he's the one person who truly connects with Arya and understands her.
Yeah, that's good.
And that relationship with him understanding her is going to be, not to give anything away, but it's going to be somewhat unique in Arya's life throughout her development over the series. She won't find a lot of people who understands her, but Syrio is the relationship she always goes back to.
Cool. Spoiler alert.
Not really.
Not really. All right, should we go on to the hunting trip?
Yes, so we have this hunting trip where Lancel Lannister is quite determined to get Robert to drink as much wine as possible.
What do you think that is? It keeps Robert happy?
I don't know.
Maybe it keeps him from... Because that guy, he's kind of like a little helper to the king.
He's his squire.
His squire, and he seems to be verbally abusive to the squire.
Well, yes.
Like for example, if he had a gun, I could see him doing this.
Yeah, they don't have guns.
Say if he had a gun.
I'm glad you brought on a prop that has nothing to do with the show we're reviewing.
Okay.
So Lancel is chugging the wine down Robert's throat.
Yep, definitely.
And then Renly and Robert have a bit of a intense moment.
Yes. So do you think Robert knows of Renly's sexual orientation?
It wasn't spelled out clearly, but he did make a remark about Renly throwing balls in masquerades.
Yeah, he did, but he seemed clueless.
Yeah.
He asked if Renly had gone the 8, is that how he said it?
Yes, done the 8.
Done the 8?
Which is to have one girl from every one of the 7 kingdoms plus
the
Riverlands.
Riverlands. Why are the Riverlands separate from the kingdoms?
I'm not sure.
Okay.
They're a part of the kingdoms, but I think he just really liked the girls from there. So
King Robert has done the 8.
Has Barristan Selmy has not.
No, he hasn't.
And Renly has definitely not.
I'm guessing that the young Lannister has not as well.
Probably a safe bet.
Yeah,
so not really much else to say about the hunting trip, except we see that Renly does not approve of Robert as king.
Yes. So is that what we're supposed to get from that scene? That there's some tension there? Do you think Renly himself would like to be king?
I think that I'm not going to answer that question.
That's kind of what I was thinking.
Okay.
Okay. Should we move on to... should we talk about Sansa?
Yeah, her and Joffrey.
Yeah.
Okay, we can talk about that next. We also have the scene of Ned in the throne room.
That has to be the last thing we talk about.
No.
That was awesome.
No, because there's something else more important later.
That's what I'm actually thinking of when he was looking at the book.
Okay.
Okay, let's go to the throne room. So he's acting as judge.
Well, he's the hand of the king, so he sits on the Iron Throne when Robert isn't there.
I thought that was awesome. This is the first time we've seen Ned sitting on the throne.
And we find out that Gregor Clegane has been ravishing the Riverlands. He has been raiding and pillaging.
I think it's... Did you say ravishing?
I think so.
I think it's more like, pillaging would be better. Maybe like ravaging.
I think that's what I meant to say.
Yeah. So,
good catch.
Do you think... Well, what I thought is, this is like the worst court ever. Nothing against Ned, but you got one eyewitness describing a tall guy with black hair.
No, there was a lot of eyewitnesses there.
And they said he cut off the head of a horse, which, okay, that might be a little bit of a clue. But it seemed like...
Well...
Ned kind of was like, it must be the mountain! Everybody, get him! Kill him!
I think you're being a little bit harsh, and you have to understand the medium here, that in the book it's a longer scene, and there were multiple eyewitnesses there who were all reporting it's a guy who's a lot like Gregor Clegane.
Yeah.
Clegane already has a reputation. It wasn't hard to figure out.
But they didn't name him. They didn't say, I saw him, it was Gregor. They're like, tall guy.
They didn't know him by reputation, or by sight, but based on what we saw of Gregor in the last episode, here's how they kind of can deduce it. Okay. Number one, they know what type of guy Gregor is. Mm-hmm. Number two, now that word of Tyrion has gotten around, they know that House Lannister is going to try and get some revenge.
Okay.
The Riverlands are held by House Tully, which is Catelyn's house before she marries Ned.
Yes.
Gregor Clegane is a guy that the Lannisters can go and have him do his thing, and if he gets caught, they can wash their hands of him because he's just out of control, he's a hothead.
So you're saying the Lannisters sent Gregor to go mess with House Tully.
That would certainly be the implication.
And they left some fish there because that's the sigil for House Tully.
Yes.
And that's supposed to send a message like, give us back Tyrion, or you're going to be like this horse without a head.
Yes, but House Lannister can wash their hands of it, because it's just Gregor Clegane being a hothead and doing his thing.
Right, and because the Lannisters always pay their debts.
However, you're catching on. However, Ned is wise to their tricks, because at the end of this scene, he summons Tywin Lannister, who is Cersei and Jaime and Tyrion's father.
Yes, a character we've never met.
You will meet him next week.
Awesome.
Something to look forward to. And he is told, or they say, you have to go find Tywin, and if he doesn't come, he will be labeled a traitor.
That's serious. So Ned seems like he might be using his position of power to get a little bit of personal stuff done, don't you think?
I don't think so. I think Ned's more honorable than that.
I think he's honorable, but he's trying to... I mean, this seemed a little bit extreme. Everybody's kind of like, oh, there's murmuring
it's an act of war.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Why?
What Gregor Clegane is doing is going at attacking peasants and attacking House Tully's lands. That's an act of war.
Oh, so House Lannister is attacking House Tully?
Through Gregor Clegane. Not overtly, but subtly through Gregor Clegane.
So it's all because of what Catelyn did?
Yes.
Holy buckets. This is a mess.
That's why Ned did what he did.
So he's acting quickly and trying
decisively.
Decisive. He's trying to get this taken care of before it's too late.
Yes.
Wow.
So, great scene in the throne room.
Yeah, definitely.
But then we also have the scene of Sansa you mentioned earlier, her and Joffrey.
Yeah, so Joffrey...
So what's your read on Joffrey?
Okay, this is what I think. We saw, I don't think it was last week, maybe the week before, that Cersei told Joffrey, you just have to be with her because this is better for us in general. Mm-hmm. So I think Joffrey's acting super sweet to Sansa just to win her over and then do whatever plan the Lannisters have.
Okay, I'm not going to comment on this scene at all since obviously I know how to read this.
So obviously, if that is true, it totally worked because Sansa is completely enamored right now.
She is in love with Joffrey.
Yes, and he's telling her she's his, you're mine now, you're going to be queen.
Yes.
So it's a very enticing offer that he's presenting her.
And that scene leads to the later one of Ned.
Oh my gosh, so I finally figured it out.
Okay, tell me what you figured out.
This is what happened. Okay, so Ned's looking through the genealogy book, basically, and it has all the houses. So he goes to House Baratheon, which is Robert's house.
Yes. And
he's tracing the lineage, and he realizes every male in the house is hair of black. Until we get to Joffrey, which has hair of, do they say yellow or golden?
I believe gold.
Either way.
He's blonde.
He's blonde. And immediately, I wrote in my notes... Joffrey is not Robert's son! Explanation point. ... Jaime? Question mark? That would be messed up. But then it started to make sense. Because what if Jaime and Cersei... What if there's not actual feelings there? What if they're just trying to have like a pure blood Lannister ruling the kingdom?
Now you see the problem though. In terms of why this is such a big deal. Because... if what you're saying is correct,
Yes.
and I'm not going to confirm it just yet in case people might disagree with you.
Okay.
But if what you're saying is correct, then Joffrey is not the real heir to the throne.
Yes. And so then that would make sense on why Jon Arryn was looking around at all of the other kids, because first of all, he might have been confirming, yes, hair of black. And secondly, he's trying to find who the next official heir is.
Well, none of the kids he was looking at would have been an official heir, because they were bastards. The next official heir would be Stannis Baratheon, who's Robert's
Stannis?
brother. You haven't met him yet.
Oh.
But he's the older...
If Stannis dies, Renly would be next in line.
Yes.
Totally.
So Robert's the oldest, Stannis is middle, and Renly is the youngest.
Oh, okay. So not the blacksmith or that prostitute's baby?
Yeah, they would not be legitimate. You have to be pure blood to ascend to the throne. So take that. So, that's King's Landing. I won't say any more about it for now, but you've got some interesting theories.
No, wait. Yeah, I guess that is it. That was awesome. And that happened right at the end of the episode, and that I thought was going to be the best part of the episode, but we'll get to the best part later.
Yes. Over in the Eyrie, we have a great scene, or a couple scenes, between Mord the jailer and Tyrion.
Mord reminds me of the guy that can only say his own name.
Hodor.
Hodor.
Yeah.
They kind of remind me of each other.
Mord is an idiot, but Tyrion is able to convince him with a promise of gold to get him in front of Lysa Arryn.
Yep, and so once there, he demands a trial.
And before that, we get a great scene where he confesses.
Yeah. But he didn't get to go through his whole life. This would have been a great... I mean, one whole episode...
It was comedy gold.
Yeah, one whole episode could have been him, like, they keep coming back to the scene. Maybe they go to Winterfell for a second, they come back, he's still reading off his list. They go to the wall, they come back.
Yeah.
Tyrion's, like, telling his life story.
There was some pretty amusing items in there. So I think we need some deleted scenes of Tyrion's confession, the extended edition.
Yeah.
That would be pretty great.
So in the book, were there more, or was that about it?
I think that was about it. I don't know for sure, but
it was pretty funny.
It was around that amount.
Yeah.
Very funny, though.
Okay, so then, after the confessions, obviously, Lysa... Is it Lysa or
Lysa?
Lysa, not happy, realizing he's mocking her.
Yep.
And turns out their form of execution isn't like a guillotine.
You get to jump out the floor.
Yes, which is very high.
Very high.
How did Catelyn and Tyrion and their group even get up there? How long does it take to get up to that area?
Yeah, they abbreviated that quite a bit from the book.
That's a long journey.
Yes. That's why you were asking me what was so impressive about the Eyrie. Why are people who read the book so impressed by this scene? Yeah. Well, in the book, they go into detail about how high this is up there and the long journey up there. So that's why I was more impressed than you were.
What else after that then?
We have trial by combat. Bronn, the sellsword, who has kind of befriended Tyrion in the last couple episodes, fights for him. And then we get this other guy who fights on behalf of House Arryn, and he loses.
Bronn, is that his name?
Bronn wins.
Bronn wins. And so... I was going to ask you, now is this considered, is he now being a traitor to Catelyn? Does he work for Catelyn?
No, he's a sellsword. He's like a mercenary.
Well, how did he even get with their group?
He was in the inn, and so Catelyn was recruiting everyone, and he just kind of came along.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, okay, that makes sense. So Catelyn it's not like he's offending Catelyn.
Well, and even if he was sworn to House Tully, or any other house that she would have had allegiance to her, it wouldn't have been treason because it's trial by combat.
Okay.
So he's just standing up. Yeah, exactly. He's standing up as Tyrion's champion. It has nothing to do with committing treason.
Interesting. But then he leaves with Tyrion.
He does.
So obviously Catelyn... Is Catelyn going to hang out? Or is she just going to go back to Winterfell?
We'll see.
She's probably going to go back to Winterfell, because what's the point of hanging out there for no reason?
With Crazy Sister?
Yeah.
But, so not a ton of developments there, but what was there was really great.
It was very good.
Then in Winterfell, we have a three-eyed crow dream. This is the second one we've seen.
I think I have a note about this. Tell me about this. What's the deal with the three-eyed crow? Is it...
I'm not going to tell you what the deal is with the three-eyed crow.
Is it like a spirit guy trying to speak to Bran? Or is it him just having some sort of prophetic vision? Is that crow any of the sigils of any of the houses?
I'm not going to tell you anything. No,
you can't tell me that?
It is not a sigil of any houses.
Okay.
But I'm not going to analyze that scene for you.
Okay.
So then we get this scene with Robb and Theon, where Theon is encouraging Robb to go to war with House Lannister.
This is Greyjoy?
Yes.
Yes. Okay, I did remember. I gotta stop putting this down.
Yes, you do.
I think Greyjoy might be trying to incite a war. I don't think he's as loyal as he seems.
Yeah, he his bonds with House Stark seem to be getting strained more and more every episode.
And who can blame him? I mean, how many times do we have to remind him, you're not even part of this house?
Yeah.
It's like...
They are quite fond of telling him that.
that's... I mean, I could see him being a little bit disgruntled.
But then, Bran gets captured by a group of wildlings.
Okay. These are the wildlings?
We get a new character named Asha.
She's going to be a character?
Yeah.
Oh, I hate her. Okay. She's... What? They were trying...
Why?
Because, first of all, they're going to rob poor little Bran.
Yeah.
The cripple on a horse. And then maybe, who knows, maybe kill him? I mean, her friends weren't good, so usually you associate with people that are as horrible as you.
Yeah.
I wanted Greyjoy to be like... and kill her.
Well, he did not.
He did not.
But she's not going to be like a huge character, but she'll be a minor character.
So even after Greyjoy saved Bran, still Robert can't let up. And is
what's wrong with you?
You could have hit him.
Oh, that's a fair point.
No, not a fair point. Okay, the guy was going to slit his throat. That's definite. Or you try to save him. That's hopeful.
Theon's a little reckless.
He loves that prostitute.
He does.
He's really into her. She leaves town and he tries.
She's into turnips.
What's turnips?
She was on the turnip cup.
Oh.
Yeah.
I mean, I know what a turnip is, but I didn't get your reference. So,
but going back to the scene with the wildlings.
Yes.
So we find out some very interesting information here that they have been beyond the wall, which is where the wildlings live. Mm-hmm. They are heading south, and they want to get as far south as possible.
Oh, I didn't catch that, but now I get it because of the others.
Yes.
Or what do they call them on the show?
The White Walkers.
The White Walkers on the show. Oh, yeah. That makes sense. Because I was wondering, who are these people? Now you're saying wildlings, and I thought they were outside the wall.
And I believe one of them, if I'm remembering the book correctly, is actually a deserter from the Night's Watch as well.
So the wildlings are just regular people that don't live within the kingdom. I mean, there's nothing special about them.
Well,
like why are they out there?
Maybe there might be something special about some of them.
Well, what I mean, like, are they noble?
I'm not going to answer these questions.
Why didn't they just stay inside the kingdom?
I'm not going to answer all these questions. I don't even know the answers to all these questions.
All right.
So it's just stuff that you have to let it develop and see where it goes. So anything else in Winterfell?
Nope, that's all for me.
Okay, and then in Vase Dothrock, our last location.
The Horse City.
First we get this great scene, which I'm curious to see what you thought of it, where Dany puts the egg into the fire. Her hands don't burn, but her servants do, and she tries to pick up the egg.
Yeah.
So Dany doesn't burn.
No.
And she's putting her egg in the fire.
And she must have been testing this out, because it doesn't seem like she was surprised by what happened.
So what do you think of that?
She's obviously has some special powers. I mean, they say that...
And why is she putting the egg in the fire?
Well, okay, I'll take it one step at a time. First of all, it's said that her house has dragon blood, correct? So maybe there's some truth to that. Secondly, I think she's trying to hatch the egg. I don't know how putting it on fire works, but I don't know how to hatch a dragon egg, so maybe that makes sense.
But didn't we already establish that the dragon eggs are really old and...
I don't know. Did we establish that?
That's what they said when they were given to Dany.
As a common viewer, as myself, I would say if I see somebody warming up an egg, it's to hatch it. That's where I'm going with it.
Interesting theory. I will not comment on that further. But that's not all we see of the eggs in that episode.
No, because mean guy Viserys tries to steal them because we skipped a whole.
We'll get back to the horse heart.
Yeah, we have to get to that first because that's the reason he was in there.
Okay, so horse heart.
Oh my gosh!
I bet you love this scene, Matt.
Disgusting.
You love blood.
This was so gross. I mean, I figured out right away it was a heart. I thought at first maybe it was a human heart.
No, it's a horse heart.
Yeah, I figured it out.
Are you going to have this for dinner tonight, Matt?
No, they're really into horses in that horse town.
They are.
No, I liked how they kind of showed her almost throw up, but then not quite. Because that's realistic. No one's going to eat a horse heart and not almost be completely sick.
Well, in the book, what she's been doing for a while is like slowly eating little bits of raw meat to get herself and system more adjusted to it over time.
Yeah, because you don't just jump to this kind of ceremony.
No, you ease into it.
Yeah, definitely. So it was awesome, though. She's a cool character.
And then we get this prophecy about her son.
That he's what?
The stallion who mounts the world, which is kind of the...
He's going to become the new king of the Seven Kingdoms?
That's not what the prophecy is.
Huh.
The prophecy is, among the Dothraki, the stallion who mounts the world is prophesied to unite all of the tribes under one Khalasar, bring them all together, kind of the Dothraki Messiah, if you will.
So she's called Khaleesi. Is Khalasar the king?
Khalasar is the group, of people who are under Khal Drogo. So Khal is like king, Khaleesi is like queen, and...
Oh, Khal is his title? It's not his first name?
No, that's his title.
Oh, I thought that was his first name. Okay. Did not know that.
Nice.
Okay, so he is going to be the horse? The stallion? What is this? What's the prophecy?
That he's going to unite all of the different Khalasars on the Dothraki. He'll unite all the Dothraki under one Khalasar.
Aren't they all united anyways? They all walk around together.
You're seeing Khal Drogo's Khalasar. There are other Khalasars among the Dothraki.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
So the free cities are just all over the place? Mm-hmm. Oh, so there's people that have equal power as Khal Drogo?
Well, he's like the most powerful one, but there are other Khals out there.
Oh, I did not know that at all.
Yeah.
Okay. So there's going to be one king to rule them all.
That's what the prophecy says.
Whoa, Rhaego.
Rhaego.
Cool.
And the series is not into this.
Like a ragu.
Kind of.
No, he freaks out, not just because... I don't think the prophecy is what really made him freak out. It's seeing how his sister was being received by the people. Mm-hmm. They love her.
They do.
And I don't even know if they hate him. I think they just don't even care about him.
Yeah. He's kind of a joke.
Yeah. And so... he goes then, as you were saying, to her tent to steal the dragon eggs.
And Jorah Mormont stops him. And Jorah Mormont was awesome in this scene.
Yeah, I mean, he was stoic, calm, collected, yet firm. Do not steal the eggs.
And I forget what the exact quote was, but it was so good when Viserys said to him, "I thought you valued loyalty." And he said, "I value it more than anything." Mm-hmm. But yet... he still stands in the way of Viserys, showing that his loyalty is now to Daenerys, not at all to her brother.
You know, and
awesome.
Viserys alluded to maybe Mormont has feelings for Dany. Mormont has feelings for Dany. I don't think that's true. I don't get that from their relationship. I think he just really likes her.
Okay.
Do you have any feelings on that?
I think keep watching.
All right.
See what happens.
All right. Sounds good.
But certainly Jorah Mormont really came to the forefront as a far more developed character in this scene than we have been so far.
Maybe more loyal to Dany than we previously thought, because in past videos we've speculated that he's giving information behind the scenes.
We know that he's feeding information to Varys.
Who's Varys?
The spider? Yeah.
Bald guy?
But... based on that one scene that Arya saw of Varys in the dungeon, Varys may not be so much against the Targaryens as we thought.
I don't know why you're saying that.
Remember Arya saw Varys and Illyrio talking in the dungeon?
Yeah.
And they were talking about how they wanted the Targaryens back in power?
Yes. So how is that saying that?
Varys might actually be on the side of the Targaryens if he's telling the truth there.
Oh, so...
and then Jorah Mormont is feeding information to Varys.
Thinking that he's on the side of...
Well, it's just... I'm not sure exactly what Mormont's thinking there, but it's more complicated than just he's a traitor.
Interesting. Well, we haven't actually saw on the television show that it was Mormont that gave the information to the spider.
Well,
I think it's pretty clear.
It has been implied very heavily because that's where Varys was feeding the council the information that Mormont was giving.
I think it's pretty clear, but I don't think it's been explicit.
Okay.
Okay. So, now, for the best scene of the entire show. Maybe so far... on any episode.
Viserys shows up, pulls his sword, points it at Dany's stomach, and demands that Khal Drogo give him the crown he has been promised.
Yes, and Khal Drogo didn't really react. I mean, you could see he was on the edge of his seat, kind of intense. Mm-hmm. But, okay, if somebody is pointing a sword and... at my wife's stomach.
Wait, why am I in the role of your wife in this reenactment? There's something seriously messed up about this.
So let's just say, you're my wife, and somebody...
No, let's not say that.
You know what's going to happen? I'm going to be like, pow, pow, pow. I'm not going to let somebody do that. But
well, I think Khal Drogo did you one better, though.
Well, yes, but... What's the deal with the rule that you're not allowed to shed blood in the...
In Vaes Dothrak, you're not allowed to bear steel, so you... can't pull out your sword.
Oh.
So he broke that rule.
Oh my god.
And then you're also not allowed to shed blood. So Khal Drogo manages to kill Viserys without shedding blood.
First, they broke his arm, like really broke it. Not like a little broken, like I don't think I've ever seen somebody's arm snap that way.
Yeah.
And all along, Dany is watching on as they're attacking him, and Mormont says, "Look away," and she says, "No." Doesn't she say, "I want to watch this"? Or
yeah. I need to watch this or something like that.
It's intense, and then go ahead, take it from there.
And then Khal Drogo puts some gold into a pot, melts it, and proceeds to crown Viserys in epic fashion.
He pours the whole thing on his head. It's obviously instantly burning because it's so intensely hot.
Yeah.
And at first I didn't know exactly where they're going to go with it, but then Viserys dies in like a second. And then the scene of him falling over and the clink of the gold hitting the ground.
Yep.
So awesome.
Yes. I was wondering when we were going to get to the scene, because obviously I knew it was coming.
Yeah.
As soon as I saw what the episode title was this week, I was like, okay, Viserys is dead.
Oh my gosh, I was shocked. Because I don't know who's going to live and die. And
No, you don't.
He seemed like a pretty important character. But it was all just to set up Dany as what I think. I think she's the future ruler of the Seven Kingdoms. You heard it here first. So,
Keep your eyes open.
So Dany says, he was no dragon. Fire cannot kill a dragon.
Yes.
And, oh man. I mean, it's awesome. We saw earlier that fire couldn't hurt her.
Mm-hmm.
I think she's starting to see her own potential even more.
Totally.
She's like in a different world now. Her eyes are even different.
Her character development this season has been fantastic.
Yeah, they're doing a great job, and it doesn't seem out of place.
Nope.
It's really good.
It's all felt very natural.
So this is what I wrote down.
I
Best.
see once again.
I know. I need to hold.
You need You need a whiteboard of your own.
I know you have yours over there.
I have my whiteboard.
Best ending so far! Exclamation point.
It was pretty good. I'd have to choose between that and a couple weeks ago when Tyrion got captured by Catelyn. Those are both pretty great endings.
That was good, but this was jaw dropping. Literally,
It was.
I was like this.
Oh, the last week's was pretty awesome too. Ned versus Jaime.
Well,
they've had some awesome endings this season.
I know. And I remember after the second episode, I complained a little bit that the ending was sort of lame. Ever since then,
Well, and I
really,
love that ending.
Yeah,
So
really good. So this has been. I mean,
you seem more excited about the show than you have so far.
last
getting
night
really good,
Last
isn't it?
night's episode was really good, and I kind of like. We talked about this in the Sci-Fi Christian podcast, but I like how it's a short season.
Yeah.
It's only 10 episodes, so this is 6, right?
This is 6.
So by tomorrow night, I'll have watched episode 7. I mean,
3 more to go.
Yeah, it's not a huge commitment. I'm getting a really tight story.
Yep.
This has been really good.
It's been awesome. I think they've done a phenomenal job. There's a couple places early on where I felt like maybe they were rushing through things a bit too much.
Mm-hmm.
I haven't got that at all in the last couple episodes. They've been perfect, really, in terms of how they developed the story and the characters. We do need to get back to Jon Snow.
Yeah.
I feel okay about that because I've watched the next episode and I know he's in it.
Yeah.
If I hadn't, I might be a little more bothered by that.
Yeah, so I'm glad that you told me because that's a great character too. So
Totally.
Well, I think that's all from here.
That is.
Do you have anything else you'd like to say about the show?
Nope. Looking forward to recording our next review, our advanced review on episode 7 tomorrow night.
Yep.
But other than that, I'm just loving it and can't wait to see how they develop it next.
Perfect. Well, I'm Anderson.
And I am Ben DeBono.
And we're the Sci-Fi Christians, signing off.